Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for December's practice. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. We have Fritz here who has a nice little toy that he's probably going to drop on me later. Sam is squeaking, so we'll see if he shows up too. You don't necessarily need any props for this practice, but if you'd like to grab some, you can pause the video and do so. Some that I would recommend are bolsters, blankets, blocks. But if you don't have any of those things, don't worry. I'll offer modifications without them. All right, so I will meet you on the mat. We are today going to go ahead and start out lying down. If you have a bolster or blankets that you'd like to use, you can use those now. Otherwise, I will meet you on the mat. Go ahead and spread your feet out wide. Your hands can fall wherever they'd like. If you'd like to put them on your body, you can, or they can be off of your body, whatever feels comfortable to you. Let your feet relax. Slow down your breathing. We're going to take a moment here just to get into the practice. If it feels safe to you, you can close down the eyes. Now we're going to do something called box breathing while we're down here. So box breathing is really pretty simple. We're going to inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then before we breathe in again, we're going to hold for another count of 4. So effectively making like a box. I will count you into it. And if this doesn't feel good in your body, then just take nice, big, deep breaths normally. So go ahead and just take a breath to prepare. And then when you're ready, we'll start to inhale for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and let that go. Take a few nice big inhales and exhales just on your own. If you're ready, let's take a nice big stretch. So go ahead and reach your arms over your head. Reach your legs far and away. Take a nice big full body stretch. And when you're ready, go ahead, place your feet on the mat. We'll roll to our favorite side and then come up to a nice tabletop position. So however you'd like to get there, go ahead and meet me there. If you have cranky knees at all, put a blanket or a towel underneath them and that will help to pad your knees. All right, so we'll go ahead and come to our tabletop position. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we're going to start warming up the spine. Really press your feet into the mat, or the top of your feet into the mat. That'll help to bring some stability. And we're going to warm up with cat-cow. If you know it, take it away. Otherwise, on an inhale, go ahead and drop those lower ribs. Lift your chest, lift your tail up, look forward. And then as you exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tail, tuck the head, and really feel a nice big stretch through your back body. Inhale, lowering those lower ribs, looking up and straight ahead. Cow. Exhale, rounding through the spine, coming into cat. Let's do one more just on your own inhales and exhales. And after your next cat, go ahead and come back to your tabletop position and look down at your hands. If they're directly under your shoulders where you left them, go ahead and walk them just one handprint in front of where they were. So they're going to be out a little bit. We'll tuck our toes under, inhale to prepare, and then exhale, lift your knees up off the mat, straight through the legs, shift your weight back and down through the heels, and we're going to come into our first downward facing dog. Now if you want to walk your dog, you can. You'll just bend one knee and then the other, just alternating. You'll get a nice big stretch in your calf muscles. Once you've had enough of that, go ahead and bring it to stillness. Let your heels grow heavy. Really press through your hands. Let your head hang. We'll take a moment here just to breathe. Now after your next exhale, look forward at your hands. We're going to make our way up to the top of the mat. I like to take little baby steps, but you can take bigger steps, or you might even want to hop all the way up to the top of the mat. Once your feet reach your hands, keep a little bend in your knee. We're going to come up halfway on your inhale. Keep a nice flat back. Then as you exhale, go ahead and let it go, and we'll come into our forward fold. Now, if this position does not feel comfortable for you, this is where you can use your blocks. And these blocks will just bring the ground up to you. You can use them on a higher setting, or maybe even the lower setting. If you don't have blocks, then you can always keep your knees bent as generously as you would like. Your hands can be on your thighs or your shins. Just make sure you're not pressing onto your knee. And then you can even tent your fingers here or place them down on the mat. The more bent your knees are, the more you're going to feel this in your lower back. The straighter they are, the more you're going to feel it in your hamstrings. So once you get into position, just let your head hang. You might want to sway side to side. You can always grab opposite elbows. Just find a setup that's comfortable to you. And we'll take a moment here just to breathe. Let's take one more inhale here. And on our exhale, we're going to roll slowly up all the way until we are standing. Once you're standing, go ahead and take any movements that you might feel are necessary. You can fix your hair, clothes, whatever feels good to you. You don't have to fix anything at all though. And we're gonna make our way into stillness. We're gonna come into mountain pose. So mountain pose, you wanna have one straight line from your shoulder, your hips, your knees, your ankles, one straight line going up to the top of your head. So what I like to do when I get here is I like to fidget and get all my movement out. And I really like to ground my feet into the mat. So you can always pick your foot up and place it down a few times just to get really nice and grounded. And once you find that, you can come to stillness. From here, I like to roll my shoulders up, back, and down, bringing my shoulder blades together and down so that I'm really lifting up through the front body. I want to make sure my shoulders aren't up by my ears, not locking out through the knees, and then my hands can just come to my side as I look forward. We'll take a moment here just to breathe in this mountain pose. We're going to keep on stretching out the body. I'm going to turn to face you just so you can see what I'm doing. But on our next inhale, go ahead and reach your arms up towards the sky. Now from here, I'm going to take my right hand, grab my left wrist, inhale. And then on the exhale, I'm going to cross that midline and come over to my right, feeling a nice big stretch in my left side body. And we'll just breathe here for a moment. After your next exhale, return to center. We're going to switch our hand placement. So my left hand is going to grab my right wrist. Inhale, we'll stand up nice and straight and tall. And on the exhale, we'll bump our hips to the right. We'll lean our arms over to the left, feeling a nice big stretch in our right side body. And breathe. After that next exhale, go ahead and return to center. Release your hands. Keep them up high though. Inhale, and then on the exhale, slight bend in the knees. Shift your hips back, and we'll float it all the way down into our forward fold once again. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go. And we'll just breathe here again for a moment. After your next exhale, go ahead and place your hands firmly on the mat. We're going to step our right foot back, and then go ahead and lower onto that right knee. You can keep your toes tucked or untucked. We're going to come into a low lunge. Now my left front knee is going to be at a 90-degree angle. When I look down, I should be able to see my big toe. If this position does not agree with you, blocks to bring the floor up to you. Again, they can be on any position. If you don't have blocks, you can just come up a little bit higher and let your hands rest on your thigh. Otherwise, you can tent your fingers, look forward, pull that left hip crease back, right hip crease forward, feeling a nice big stretch on that right thigh. We'll breathe here for a moment. When you're ready, we're going to shift our hips back, straighten through the left foot. Go ahead and roll those toes up off the mat. Keep your heel on the mat, toes active. And we're going to feel a nice big hamstring stretch in our left side. So come here and breathe. Again, you can bring your blocks with you if you'd like. We'll walk our hands forward, rebend that front left knee, coming back into our low lunge. Go ahead and tuck your right toes under. Lift that right knee up off the mat. It's going to feel a little bit more intense. And then we're going to place our right hand firmly on the mat on the inside of our left arch. Go ahead and turn towards the inside of your left thigh. We'll reach our left fingers up towards the sky, coming into a nice big twist. And breathe. After your next exhale, go ahead and lower that left hand to the mat and rock that on that right foot a little bit. And when you're ready, step that right foot up to meet the left. So we're going to come back into our forward fold. Inhale, we'll come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go. Let's take one more big inhale here. And on our exhale, we'll slowly roll it all the way up, coming into your version of mountain for just a few breaths. On your next inhale, go ahead and reach your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, back into our forward fold. Place your hands firmly on the mat, and when you're ready, we'll step our left foot back this time, lowering onto our left knee, coming into a low lunge on our right side. Again, make sure your legs are set up correctly so that you don't injure yourself. Nice 90-degree angle. Use props if you have them, or if you don't, we'll just adjust. Keep your chest nice and lifted, look forward, breathe. Pull that left hip crease back. I'm sorry, right hip crease back. And when you're ready on an exhale, we'll start to walk our fingers back as we straighten through our right foot, bringing those right toes up towards our forehead, looking forward, a nice big hamstring stretch on the right side. After a few breaths, we'll walk it back forward into that low lunge. Let's tuck our left toes under, lift that left knee up off the mat. We'll place our left hand on the mat to the inside of our right foot. Then we'll go ahead and reach our right fingers up towards the sky, coming into a nice big twist. After your next exhale, go ahead and place your hand back on the mat. We'll walk or rock our left foot up to meet our right. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, back into our forward fold once again. On your next exhale, we'll slowly roll it all the way back up into mountain pose. And we'll pause there for a moment and just take a breath. On your next inhale, we'll reach our arms up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming up halfway flat back. Exhale, let it go. When you're ready, go ahead and place your hands firmly on the mat. We'll step one foot back and then the other, and we're coming into our first plank pose. So if you've done this with me before, you know I like my planks. You can always lower onto your knees to come into a half plank. So pick your poison. We don't have a whole lot of these. Make sure in your plank that you're really pressing back through your heels, that your hips aren't dipping down and that they're not coming up. So nice straight line from the head all the way down to your heels. Look slightly forward, press away from the mat, breathe, shake. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, we'll lower all the way down to our bellies. Untuck the toes. Let your forehead rest on the mat for just a moment. Ooh. Right, we'll place our hands underneath our shoulders. Bring the elbows in towards your sides. And on an inhale, slowly start to peel your forehead and nose up, looking forward. We're coming into a little baby cobra here. We'll grow this a little bit later. So we have another flow that we'll go through. So we'll make this a little bit bigger, but for now, we'll stay in this little baby version. Just to warm up. Let's take one more inhale here. And on our exhale, we'll lower our forehead back to the mat. All right, from here, go ahead and push yourself up to all fours. We'll tuck our toes under again. Inhale to prepare, and then exhale, we'll lift our knees up, shift back into our downward facing dog. And we'll take a moment here just to breathe. Feel a nice big stretch. And when you're ready, plant that left foot into the mat. We'll lift our right toes up off the mat. Keep them dialed down so it doesn't have to be super high. As you exhale, bend the knee in towards your chest. Shift forward, look forward, and we'll step that right foot in between our hands. With your left foot, go ahead and hop it in just a little bit, but pivot it so it's at a nice little 45-degree angle, pointing towards that left front edge of your mat. From here, really use your core. We're going to rise up. Keep this front knee bent like we did in that low lunge. It's okay if your thigh doesn't come to 90 degrees. Mine doesn't, so we just work towards that. Keep your hips pointed towards the short edge of your mat. And if you'd like, your hands can just be on your hips. You can bring them into prayer, or you can bring them up above your head, coming into a nice warrior one. Make sure your shoulders aren't coming up by your ears, so you might need some extra space in between your hands. When you look down, make sure you can see your big toe. If not, press that knee out a little bit. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, we'll float our hands down. Go ahead and bring them to the mat. Pivot on your left foot back to that low lunge. And then we're going to step our right foot to meet our left, coming into our second plank. Or half plank. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, lower all the way down to the mat, untucking the toes. Now in your next inhale, you can come into that little baby cobra, or if you'd like, you can grow your cobra by pressing through your hands and rising up a little bit taller. If you feel any crunchiness in your back, lower down a little bit. You don't have to come up so high. Also make sure you're not collapsing into your shoulders. Really press away. If you find that you're collapsing, lower back down. It's something that you can work up to. And breathe here. It can be really hard to remember to breathe. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower it all the way down to the mat. And then from here, we're going to go into downward facing dog. So you can either go through all fours, or I'm going to show you an alternative. So if this alternative is not for you, go ahead and make your way into your downward facing dog. Otherwise, on an inhale, we're going to press up against the mat, coming into a plank. Inhale again, and then on your exhale, we'll shift our hips back, coming into our downward facing dog. All right, side two. Go ahead and place your left, or make sure your right foot is sturdy on the mat. We'll lift those left toes up, keep them dialed down. Inhale, exhale, shift forward, bring that knee in towards your chest, and we'll step that left foot in between our hands, pivot on that right foot, and when you're ready, really use your core to rise up into your version of Warrior One. Pull that right hip crease forward, left hip crease back. Try and keep a nice bend in that left front leg, but you should be able to see your big toe. Hands can be lifted in prayer or even just at your hips. Completely up to you. And then once you're there, we'll go ahead and just breathe in our Warrior One. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, we'll float our hands down. Go ahead and place them on the mat. We'll pivot on that right foot. Step our left foot back to meet our right. Last plank. Breathe here. One more big inhale. And then exhale us lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale, come up into your version of Cobra and hold. Exhale, go ahead and lower it down. All right, I'll meet you guys in downward facing dog. So whatever that looks like for you, we'll move into it. After your next exhale, go ahead and look forward. We're going to make our way up into our forward fold. So if you'd like to walk up towards the top of the mat like me, you can come with me. Otherwise, make your way there. Once we are there, we'll inhale, come up halfway to a nice flat back, and exhale, just let it go. On your next exhale, slowly roll it all the way up until you're in your mountain pose. And then, if you'd like, you can turn to the long edge of your mat. You don't have to. You can stay on the short edge if you'd like. But we're going to bring our feet out kind of wide, wider than our hips. And we're going to do something, it's used in a lot of different modalities. It's called a lot of different things. In yoga, I've mostly heard it called knocking on heaven's door, but in Qigong, it's called something else, and I've done that there. Some people also call it tapping. But if you've done this before, go ahead and take it away. If you're new, we'll walk through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that we put on a sweatshirt. It's cold here, it's December, but let's say we didn't put our arms through the armholes. So our arms are just down here, and we have empty armholes. We're going to imagine that our arms are those empty armholes, and we're going to swing to one side coming up on the ball of our foot, and then to the other side coming up on the opposite one. And we're just going to move back and forth. Slight bend in the knee is good. And as you come across, you're probably going to hit the top of your booty, kidney, maybe even your butt. And that's okay. And then your other hand's going to hit your hip. And we're just going to move back and forth. You can go at whatever pace feels good to you. It may be slower than mine. It may be faster. But you're just going to sway back and forth for a moment. Ooh, make sure that you are not by any doors or other things that you can knock over, because it can happen as you get into it. And what this movement does is it's going to break up any stale, stuck, stagnant energy in the body. So we've heated up our body. We're going to move some of this energy out that isn't serving us anymore, that we don't need to take with us into 2024. We're in the last month of the year. There's a lot of stuff going on, but this is one way that you can start to release and let go of anything that just you don't need anymore. Let's keep going. If you feel silly, good. You're supposed to smile. I'm putting this out on YouTube, so if I can do it, you can do it. And then when you feel ready, slowly start to slow down those movements. And we're going to come back to stillness. You can bring your feet back underneath your hip points. We're going to make our way back down. I'm going to stay facing this way just so you can see what I do next and how I get back down onto the floor. But if you want to come to the short edge of your mat, you can. We are going to go back into a forward fold. So let's take a breath here, though. Let's just pause. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Feel that energy as it moves through your body. All right, when you're ready, inhale, we'll reach our arms up, and then exhale, come into our forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go. And just breathe. This is our last standing forward fold. Now, wherever you are, make sure your hands are firmly placed on the mat. Go ahead and widen your feet out a little bit and turn your toes out. From here, start to drop your center. So drop that booty down, bend the knees, and you can either keep your hands on the mat or you can make your way into a little yogi squat. So I like to rock side to side just to warm up my hips a little bit as I make my way down, because my hips are usually pretty tight. Now, if your heels don't come to the floor, that's okay. They can be up. If they are up, go ahead and keep your hands on the mat. You can always use a block here. So maybe this position doesn't quite work for you. You can come and sit on a block. That works too. Or Just don't come down as far and keep your hands on the mat. Now, if you're down here, or even if you're on a block, you can take your hands, press those elbows against your inner thighs, bring your hands into a prayer position, and you're gonna feel a nice big stretch here. This really opens up the hips. And then from here, you can just sit here and breathe, or squat here and breathe. Take one more big inhale here. And then exhale, let it go. Now, I like to bring my hands behind me and bring my butt to the floor. However you want to come to a seated, go ahead and do that. Just make sure you're not falling over. And then when you get here, go ahead and stretch your legs out long in front of you. We got one more stretch before we move into our last posture. I just like to shake them out a little bit. Now, I'm going to give you some different versions before we go into it. This pose doesn't quite work for everyone in the same way. And not that it can't work for you, but I'm going to show you some things you can do with props. So if you have a bolster, you can take your bolster and place it on your knees. And then you can just, we're going to come into a seated forward fold. So it's very similar to our standing forward fold. So from here, if you're using a bolster, you'll just inhale, reach up, and then exhale, go ahead and come across that bolster, try and reach for your toes or maybe the sides of your feet, or maybe just the bolster, and then you can rest your head on that bolster. That's option one. Option two, let's say you don't have a bolster, you don't have a pillow, you don't have any props. Bend your knees super generously, as generously as you need. Then on the inhale, you can reach up and then you can reach for your toes, maybe your ankles, maybe your pant leg, whatever you have. And then you can just come into your forward fold that way. And then if you're able to, you can start to try and straighten through your legs. Now, if you're ready to go and you've done this before, we'll come into our third option. So we'll keep our knees straight, don't lock them out. Inhale, reach, and then exhale, we're gonna reach for our toes, trying to keep as straight of a back, trying to keep our back as straight as possible. And then we'll try to bring our nose to our knees. Now you may not make it, that's okay. You're gonna feel a nice big stretch on your legs. So wherever you're at, go ahead and choose your option, and we'll take a moment here just to relax and breathe. After your next exhale, go ahead and roll up to the seat. My hair's strangling me. All right, and then we'll make our way onto our backs and we'll come into our Shavasana. If you'd like to use any props, you can. Some people like to use pillows or bolsters underneath their legs just to prop them up. If it's cold, you can always cover up with a blanket, whatever feels good to you. If you don't have any props, that's okay. Just let your feet fall out wide and away. Take up space on your mat. Let everything open up. If it feels safe in your body, you can close down the eyes. And we're going to take a moment here just to breathe and relax and let all of those benefits of our practice just marinate throughout our body before we get on with the rest of our day. I am going to go quiet for a moment so that way you can relax, but I will be back shortly to guide you out of this posture. The card that I pulled for today's practice is Parrot Spirit, and its message is to watch your words. What are you saying to yourself? What message are you repeating? Is it something that makes you feel good about yourself and reminds you of your strengths and potential? Parrots mimic the sounds around them. And when Parrot Spirit appears, it is time to be more mindful of your self-talk and its qualities. What do you say to others? Are you repeating what you truly believe? Remembering to speak with light and love can become a habit. Be generous with compliments and thanks, affirming all that is good so that your loving, healing words will be heard throughout the jungle, cutting through the noise and inspiring others. Listen for the words that remind you of all the strength, abundance, and joy in your life and in the world around you. And then repeat them, affirming what is real, true, and nurturing to the soul. The universe will reflect back to you the story you tell. Words matter, so choose ones that lift you up and inspire others to remember that beauty surrounds us. If you'd like to stay in Shavasana, then stay as long as time allows. If you need to resume your day or evening, then slowly start to deepen your breath. When you feel ready, begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Place one foot on the mat and then the other, keeping the knees bent. You can roll to your favorite side, coming into a little fetal position, and just hang out there for a moment and take a couple breaths. Whenever you feel ready, then slowly come back to a seat, bringing your head and neck up last. If your eyes are still closed, you can open them back up to the room around you. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our December practice. It was quite active. If this practice spoke to you and you really liked it, I do have a channel on Patreon. The link is in my bio. And on Patreon, I house every single yoga class I've ever done. Every week I do a new one. So those are all housed there. So when you sign up, you get access to every week a brand new practice, but then also the library of past practices. So you can go through it and see what you have time for, maybe what you're in the mood for, because I do some different styles, some slower, some faster, some longer, some shorter. So you can check that out. There is a 7-day free trial, so there's no obligation. But the link is in the bio if you'd like to check that out. If you know anyone that would also enjoy this practice, please make sure to send this practice to them, share it with them. That's how I get my name out there. I don't do really any advertising. Everything's all word of mouth. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, If you'd like to know when I put out new ones, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Everyone on here is a YouTube expert, so you already know. Do all the things. Click all the things. But I hope to see you next week on Patreon. I will have a brand new practice there next week. Otherwise, I will see you next year in 2024. So I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season and that it's low stress and just easy and joyful. And hopefully I'll see you next week. Otherwise, I will see you next year. Namaste.